as a financial advisor for over 20 years. These are the 8 habits that I've observed in people that unfortunately keep them poor. And many of these are unique and you haven't seen on YouTube before. And the first one is buying expensive things instead of renting them. And what I mean by this is, let's say you'd love to own an expensive sports car, or maybe you've always wanted to have a ski boat to go out water skiing or wakeboarding in. Instead of renting those things, sometimes people buy those things. Now, yes, it's expensive to rent, but what I've seen is the joy of owning expensive stuff, that joy wears off pretty quickly. And oftentimes people are better served to rent until they're really sure that it's going to bring them the joy that they think they're going to have. Okay, the second one is not investing in yourself. That tends to be the very best investment anybody can make. Yes, it's nice to pick the number 1 performing stock in a year, and that can change your life. But you know what? Unfortunately, most of us aren't going to be able to do that. But what most of us can do, and the investment most of us can benefit from, is looking at our skill set and saying, what are the skills that I need to get to the next level, either in my current job or in a career that maybe you'd like to go into. So that's something that I see 80-90% of people getting a very nice return on their investment is investing in themselves. Number 3 is, and this is going to be controversial, but it's not enough to just save. And so one of the things that keeps people poor is they save, which is good, but they don't invest that money. Unfortunately, they're afraid of losing money, and that's just the nature of investing. Is the stock market's going to go up and down, but we need to beat inflation over time. And one of the best tools to do that, that's proven to be true for decades, and I would argue centuries, is investing your money in companies that are going to be doing things better, faster, cheaper in the future. They're going to be increasing their earnings, and over time the stock market is going to recognize that and increase the value of the company. Okay, let's keep going. The next one is avoiding what I call the world's most expensive hobby, and that is shopping. I'm here in shopping central New York City, and a lot of folks, unfortunately, their hobby is shopping. They love to shop, and they don't even know what they're going to buy that day. They just head out to go shopping, and I call that the world's most expensive hobby. When I was a kid, I lived in a town where there weren't a lot of outdoor activities to do. Winter was kind of long and gloomy. And so one of the things my family and I would do, my friends and I would do, is we'd say, let's go to the shopping mall. We've got nothing else to do today. And going to the shopping mall is free. Well, you know what? Very seldom did that end up being true, because I'd end up buying stuff that I didn't know that I wanted. And maybe a couple days after I bought it, I no longer wanted it. So getting lured into the world's most expensive hobby is one thing that unfortunately is keeping people poor longer. And the other one, and kind of related, is getting comfortable with expensive debt, getting comfortable with what I call destructive debt. Not a mortgage, not something, maybe a modest student loan. Sorry, part of being in New York City is the horn honking. But getting comfortable with destructive debt, which is high interest rate debt, for most people, credit card debt. So it's one thing to have that happen once or twice. You can't pay off the credit card bill. You need a little more time to pay that off. But it's another thing to just have that be a part of your life, because eventually we've got to pay the piper. Eventually we have to pay down that debt. And what I've seen happen is people postpone that day of reckoning. People postpone the paying the piper and paying down the principal, getting rid of that credit card debt, as long as they can. And once you get comfortable having that balance, once you get comfortable making that minimum payment, the day of reckoning is coming as you get older, is coming at the very time in your life where you want your freedom. Okay, number six thing that's keeping people poor is paying more taxes than they legally have to. You know, taxes tend to be, for most of us, if not the largest expense, one of the largest expenses that we face. And for many people, having a professional look at your taxes and make sure you're doing what you can to keep those as low as you legally can keep them without doing too many crazy things. But just taking it as a given as opposed to being strategic. Now, I am not an accountant, and I'm just putting this on your radar screen to encourage you to work with a professional, just because for many of us it tends to be one of our largest expenses. And surprisingly, when you're in retirement is when you have a lot of control over your taxes, because you likely have a regular 401k, you likely have a regular IRA, you might have a Roth IRA, you might have a Roth 401k, and then you have your bank accounts. And your bank accounts have been taxed already. Your Roth account, you did not get the tax break when you put the money in, so you can get that money out without paying taxes under current law. But with your 401k, what you want to do is you want to be strategic. And to be strategic, oftentimes you need the help of a professional. Okay, let's keep going. Number 7 is not having an emergency fund. Now, many of you have heard this before, but here's my take on an emergency fund. It forces your hand to then use expensive money. Almost half of all Americans say that they could not cover a $1,000 unexpected car repair or unexpected emergency room visit. Maybe you break your arm or something like that. But in addition to that causing you to put something on your credit card, I think even more important is if you don't have an emergency fund, and God forbid if you were to lose your job, it puts a lot of pressure on you to accept the first job that you get as opposed to the job that's the best fit for you, that's a match for the long term, that recognizes and appreciates your skill set. So an emergency fund gives you options, not just when emergencies happen, but it also gives you options in life so that you can optimize on your life as opposed to just starting to work as soon as you can again so that you can pay your bills. Okay, and then number 8 is not, and this is keeping people poor, and that is not staying as healthy as you can. Now, none of us can control our genes. None of us know if we're going to have cancer in our future or a heart attack. But one thing that we can do is to stay as healthy as we can. And healthcare and insurance, even if you've got great insurance, can be expensive. And it robs us not just of our bank account, but more importantly, of our life, of our energy, of our ability to enjoy the time that we have. And if you like a video like this, another video about making great decisions is this video here, which talks about 8 things to stop doing in your 50s and 60s in order to enjoy your journey more until the day comes that you can retire. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you in that one.